defense, and that's what Calgary plays.
Gain of 1 for Reynolds, 2nd and 9. And Burris pumps one way, looks together, and open is Rambo. Sidesteps one tackle, and Kenyon Rambo up to the 40-yard line has 16.
Henry Burris talked after the rematch in Edmonton, after the Labor Day rematch in Edmonton, when he was forced to be a pocket passer. He talked about small things that he's learned, and maybe just the confidence to be able to distribute the ball from the pocket. You're forced to do it because you can't run due to injury. You learn something about yourself and your ability to do that.
Last week he passed Jeff Garcia on the all-time Calgary passing list. With that last reception, he just passed Peter Lisk, and he's now number 2 all-time in Calgary Stampeder passing.
Pretty impressive numbers for Henry Burris. And you know, it's funny. I really don't believe that he gets the credit that he deserves, being a starting quarterback and one of the best in the game.
Some of us are old enough to remember Peter Lisk and how
I remember
impressive he was. He could light it up, as a few other quarterbacks in Calgary have, as Burris plunges forward to get a first down. And we're almost retro, but not quite.
No, we're not going there yet. Hopefully we get a chance to, though. I want to go to that wardrobe shop. But, you know, just the Henry Burris thought, though, you know, and I'll give you an example of what I mean. Last year, everyone talked about Henry Burris's fumble problems. He fumbled the ball last year 6 times, lost 5 of them. No one has mentioned this year that Ricky Ray has fumbled the ball 6 times. No one. Ricky Ray is having a tremendous year. Everyone talked about those fumbles with Henry Burris for some reason. It was the angle they took.
1st and 10. And that ball on the money is dropped by Kenyon Rambo. And that hasn't happened much this year.
No, I think Mark Castell got in the way of that one, but that ball was perfectly thrown by Henry Burris. It was on time, right into the hands of Rambo, who does that little bang route where he goes to the inside and then bangs back to the outside, put it right between the numbers. And that just goes down in a drop, but it won't phase Burris.
So 2nd and 10. At the Stampeder 50. They didn't just have the Hail Mary touchdown, they had a 103-yard drive. A little pass underneath, Copeland wide open. You see the penalty markers as Copeland still going and finally forced out by Chip Cox at the Montreal 29. Well, let's find out what the penalty flag's all about.
The safety blitz from Montreal picked up well for Calgary, and that allowed Burris to get it out of there to Copeland. He was the 2nd or 3rd read on the play. The way Calgary walked up to the ball, looks
offside. Montreal number 40 declined.
So Diamond Ferry back in the game was offside.
Looks like this is going against Montreal. And Diamond Ferry was the guy offside on that blitz. Number 39 to the left of your screen is the safety. That's Chris Smith right there. He's coming on the blitz. Apparently Diamond Ferry, who was outside to the left of your screen, was the guy that was offside. First down for Calgary as they can find that penalty and take the yardage.
And for the 7th time this year, Henry Burris is over 300 yards passing after the 31-yard catch by Copeland. Now over the middle, and another one for Teo Johnson. TJ Hill was in coverage, but the big tight end's got another.
And Henry Burris using all his weapons and getting it out to Kenyon Rambo, finding Jermaine Copeland. He's found Teo Johnson a couple times, the tight end. Another ball that is thrown into traffic, a contest throw. How much has Dave Dickinson helped Henry Burris's confidence this year? How much has new head coach John Huffnagel helped Henry Burris this year? Of course, Huffnagel, former quarterback himself.
15-yard gain, another first down. Some time for Burris to look for Copeland, and that one sails deep. And penalty markers litter the field.
Pushing and shoving both ways going on there, and Chip Cox was in coverage on Copeland.
A couple of different markers down in the end zone.
Chip Cox has become, I've talked to a few receivers about Chip Cox, and how he plays in the secondary, that the receivers get frustrated at times.
Receiver, Montreal, number 11. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Receivers are telling me they get frustrated at times because Chip Cox will give them a little grab in the jersey, a little pull on the shoulder pad, and he often gets away with it because he doesn't hold on too long. That time he held on too long. He had the front of the jersey of Copeland. He held on for about 3 or 4 steps. That was too long. The official saw it, but he likes to try and do that. Just give him a tug and then let go, and gets away. It frustrates receivers, and he doesn't get called.
That time, and it spots the ball on the Montreal 7. First and goal for the Stampeders. Burris looking for Kramer, who skips that. Low to Kenyon Rambo.
Pass intended for number 85, Kenyon Rambo. Second and goal, Calgary.
Well, if Henry Burris can finish this drive off with a major, how would you like to be on the other sideline and Anthony Calvillo, who the last time he was on the field was down by 7. If Henry Burris finishes this drive off, he'll be down by 21 without taking that jacket off.
Big defensive play here for the Alouettes. Second and goal from the 7. Here comes pressure from Reggie Hunt. Burris kicks it away, and it falls incomplete.
Brett Ralph just couldn't get out of the hole. He'd run an inside route, and he tried to throw the brakes on and pull himself out of the hole and try and get back to the sideline, because that's the way Burris was rolling. He just couldn't get out of there. Burris is going to get flushed here. He gets a little time initially, looks to the left side, and then it starts to break down. Reggie Hunt coming from the outside is the first guy to get there, and now you see Brett Ralph. He just couldn't get out of that hole to get back to the sideline.
So the Alouettes needed a hold, and they get one, and now a 14-yard attempt for DeAngelis, looking for his second field goal of the game. That one's through, and it's a 17-point Calgary lead. Alouettes, the leaders in the East, comfortably at 7-3, but not leading tonight. Anthony Calvillo back to work. 17 points down, but a big play here to start. Brian Bratton with a catch up at midfield. 20-yard pickup for Bratton.
Well, it's good news for the Montreal Alouettes, even though they have this deficit to climb out of. It doesn't look like Anthony Calvillo has cooled down too much on the sideline. He hasn't got to play a whole bunch over the last little bit, but he's back in there, and that ball was right on the money. It gave Brian Bratton a chance because there was good coverage.
Remember, this Alouette team has scored over 30 points a game in 9 of 10 starts, but we're held to 19 in week 4 by this Calgary defense. Calvillo again, and this one is intercepted. Second interception, and Dwight Anderson has his first of the year, his first as a Stampeder. Calgary defense coming up big again. Dwight Anderson, the interception, the second thrown by Calvillo in the game, only the second time this year he's thrown more than one interception in a game.
Well, coming into this game, he had not thrown an interception since late July, but this is a mistake by the receiver. Brian Bratton, hold it there, guys. Brian Bratton is right there, and Brian Bratton is supposed to be coming across the field like this, and he ends up curling up like that, and because he broke his route off, that ball's intercepted.
Right back to work at the 48, pump and go. Henry wants a big one, and Ryan Thelwell let it slide through his hands.
That's the kind of play that you try and set up over a few plays, and Ryan Thelwell, who is the wide receiver on the outside, you try and set it up. You don't go to it. You know it's there. And Davis Sanchez obviously had been jumping those quick outs by Brett Ralph, and you have one shot at it.
And Ryan Thelwell would like another shot at it.
Well, would he ever? Can't sugarcoat that. Just an ugly drop.
Second and 10, pressure. Thelwell gets it right back in his hands. And makes the most of that one. Brought down by Devon Claybrooks, but give Burris credit going back to the receiver who just had a costly drop.
Well, yeah, Henry Burris, and the fact that the play was called. John Hufnagel understands the dynamic of a receiver who drops one he should have had. Better than anybody, the former quarterback, and he calls this play, I'm sure, to go right back to Ryan Thelwell, executed properly.
19 for the veteran receiver. And a first down at the Alouette 43. Play action fake and wide open Rambo. Kenyon Rambo, touchdown. Henry Burris has 4 touchdown passes on the night. This one, a 43-yarder to Kenyon Rambo.
Henry Burris is in the zone. Total composure on the full roll. Enough to play action there, pull it outside, pump fake to the short route, the quick out, and open up his receiver down the sideline. Henry Burris opened up Kenyon Rambo there with the way he handled the football in the backfield.
An Alouette defense that had surrendered only 11 touchdown passes in the opening 10 games has been scorched for 4, and it's another touchdown after a turnover for the Stamps.